In a twist of fate that could rival any Hollywood drama, an 18-year-old girl ascended to the throne of Britain, forever changing the course of history. Imagine, if you will, the year is 1837. The British Empire, a titan of global influence, is in need of a new monarch. The throne is not expected to go to a young woman barely out of her adolescence, but to a seasoned, battle-hardened man. Yet, the royal bloodline has a way of throwing curveballs, and the crown lands on the head of someone no one anticipated: Victoria. The announcement sent shockwaves through the kingdom and beyond. Courtiers, politicians, and commoners alike were left in a state of disbelief. A mere girl, they thought, to rule the mightiest empire of the world. The murmurs and whispers of her youth, her inexperience, filled the air with a palpable tension. But little did they know, the young queen was about to defy all expectations. Victoria, a name that would soon be synonymous with an era, was not your typical 18-year-old. She was born into royalty, the granddaughter of King George III. Yet her path to the throne was anything but smooth. It was a journey filled with obstacles, riddled with challenges, and marked by unexpected turns. From the moment of her birth, Victoria's life was anything but ordinary. The death of her father when she was just 8 months old, the strict and isolated upbringing by her mother, the Duchess of Kent, all contributed to shaping a character that was both resilient and determined. Yet, amidst all this, no one could have predicted that the crown would fall to her. It was a plot twist that could have been straight out of a suspense novel. Her ascension to the throne was an event that sent ripples through the fabric of British society, setting the stage for a reign that would span over 6 decades. But how did this young girl, barely out of her childhood, end up as the queen of one of the most powerful nations on earth? That, my friends, is a story for another scene. Stay tuned as we unravel the unexpected rise of Queen Victoria, the woman, the monarch, and the legend. The path to the throne was not a straight one. It was filled with twists, turns, and a few unexpected deaths. As we delve into the line of succession leading up to Victoria, we'll find that the path to the throne was anything but ordinary. Victoria was born into a royal family that was wrought with complexities. Her father, Edward, Duke of Kent, was the 4th son of King George III. He had 3 elder brothers, all of whom were ahead of him and by extension Victoria, in the line of succession. However, a series of unexpected deaths changed the course of history. Victoria's uncles, George IV and Frederick, Duke of York, both died without leaving any legitimate offspring. This left the throne to the 3rd son, William IV. But even his reign was to be short-lived. William IV also lacked a legitimate heir, leaving Victoria as the next in line for the throne. And here's where it gets interesting. In many European countries, a law known as the Salic Law was in effect. This law, originating from the Germanic Salian Franks, explicitly excluded women from inheriting the throne. But in Britain, there was no such law. Women could and did inherit the throne. This distinction was crucial to Victoria's ascension, and had the Salic Law been in place in Britain, her story might have been very different. In the end, it was a combination of unexpected deaths and the absence of the Salic Law that led to Victoria becoming the heir apparent. It was a path filled with uncertainty and doubt, but it was one that would lead to one of the longest and most iconic reigns in British history. With the death of King William IV, the throne was vacant and the only remaining heir was Victoria. Her ascension was not merely a matter of chance, but rather a testament to the twists and turns of history, and the ways in which laws and unexpected events can shape the destiny of a nation. Born into uncertainty, Victoria's early years were anything but ordinary. Imagine being born into a world where your every move is watched and scrutinized, where you're isolated from other children, and where your life is dominated by a strict regime known as the Kensington system. This was the reality for a young Victoria. Victoria was born in the year 1819, the only child of Edward, Duke of Kent, and Princess Victoria of Saxe-Coburg Saalfeld. Her father, the Duke of Kent, was the 4th son of King George III, and sadly, he passed away when Victoria was just 8 months old. This left Victoria's mother as her sole guardian, and she, along with her ambitious advisor Sir John Conroy, implemented the Kensington system. This system was a strict set of rules and regulations designed to keep Victoria dependent and isolated. She was not allowed to walk down the stairs without holding someone's hand, she wasn't permitted to sleep in a room by herself, and she was kept away from other children, all in the name of protecting and preparing her for a future role as queen. This isolation was perhaps the most challenging aspect of Victoria's early life. She was surrounded by adults who were constantly monitoring and controlling her. She had no friends her own age, no siblings to confide in, and very little freedom. However, don't let this tale of hardship fool you. Victoria was not just a passive victim of her circumstances, she was strong-willed and determined. Despite her restrictive upbringing, she managed to maintain her spirit and her sense of self. She learned to speak multiple languages, developed a love for writing in her journals, and showed an early aptitude for ruling, often displaying a stubbornness that would serve her well in her future reign. Despite the hardships, Victoria was being prepared for a life of leadership, even if the throne seemed out of reach. So remember, while Victoria's early years may have been defined by isolation and control, these experiences were also shaping her, preparing her to become one of the most influential monarchs in British history. On June 20, 1837, the unimaginable happened. Victoria became queen. In the early hours of that fateful morning, the young princess was awakened by her mother to be greeted by the Archbishop of Canterbury and the Lord Chamberlain. The news they brought was grim. Her uncle, King William IV, had passed away in his sleep. Victoria, a mere girl of 18, was now Queen of the United Kingdom. With the break of dawn, she was ushered into her first meeting with the Privy Council, the body of advisors to the sovereign. It was a daunting task for the young girl to face a room full of seasoned politicians and noblemen, but Victoria held her own. In a voice steady and clear, she accepted the responsibilities of the crown, impressing the council with her poise and determination. Later that day, she was officially proclaimed queen. As the proclamation echoed through the streets of London, the public reaction was a mix of apprehension and excitement. Britain had not seen a reigning queen since Queen Anne over a century earlier. The idea of a female monarch was still a novelty, and the fact that she was so young merely added to the public's curiosity and uncertainty. Yet, as the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, Victoria began to win over her subjects. Her dedication to her duties, her evident love for her country, and her desire to do what was best for her people, slowly but surely, began to earn her the respect and admiration of her subjects. The ascension of Victoria to the throne marked the dawn of a new era, an era that would later be known as the Victorian Age. It was a time of immense change and progress, a time when Britain would transform from a traditional agriculture-based society to the world's leading industrial power. And so, at just 18 years old, Victoria was crowned queen, ready to lead Britain into a new era. Victoria's reign, which lasted for over 63 years, left an indelible mark on Britain and the world. From the moment she ascended the throne, Queen Victoria was instrumental in shaping the destiny of Britain. During her reign, the British Empire saw unprecedented expansion. It stretched across the globe, earning the epithet, "the empire on which the sun never sets." This expansion was not only geographical but also economic, scientific, and cultural. Victoria's reign saw the Industrial Revolution, which radically transformed Britain from a rural society to an urban and industrial powerhouse. In addition to the empire's physical growth, Victoria's reign was also a period of significant cultural change known as the Victorian era. This era was marked by strict social codes, a focus on family values, and a burgeoning middle class. The Victorian era also saw the rise of new literary genres, with authors like Charles Dickens and Lewis Carroll leaving their mark on the world of literature. But perhaps one of Victoria's most enduring impacts was her role as a national icon. She embodied the nation's aspirations, values, and sense of identity. Her image was everywhere, from coins to stamps, and she became a symbol of stability and continuity in a rapidly changing world. Victoria, however, was not just a figurehead. She was an influential and active monarch. She took a keen interest in the affairs of state, frequently meeting with her ministers and reading state papers. And while she was not without her critics, her commitment to her role and her country was never in doubt. Queen Victoria's reign also saw significant changes in the role and perception of the monarchy itself. The monarchy was transformed from a political institution into a symbol of national unity. It was under Victoria that the monarchy became more accessible to the public, with the Queen herself becoming a beloved figure to her subjects. From an unexpected queen to a beloved monarch, Victoria's journey to the throne was as remarkable as the legacy she left behind.